Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. It's a great pleasure to be here with you and talking a little bit about South Korea and Germany, what we have in common, but also maybe what differs between our two fintech hubs. First of all, I need to admit, I'm slightly jealous. I think with the Global Fintech Research Institute and this symposium, you have such a great venue for exchanging thoughts about fintech, and it's the first anniversary already today. So please allow me to be a little bit jealous. So I think we need to improve in Germany and in Frankfurt in particular, and to set up something similar. I think this is really an achievement. My congratulations. What I will talk today is a little bit about fintech in Germany, to give you an introduction, what we are doing, what is the situation in Germany. You have all heard things are changing in the European Union landscape. The UK has voted to leave the European Union, means the financial service might move more to continental Europe. And I think this is my sincere hope, in particular to Frankfurt, which has become the regulatory hub of the European Union. And it's at the core, it's the heart of the leading economy in the European Union, which is Germany. I'll talk a little bit about Germany. I'll talk a little bit about Frankfurt and what we are doing in Frankfurt. And then I'll talk a little bit about our cooperation. I think we are very proud that we can work so closely together with Korea in the topic of fintech, and also will give a little bit of an outlook what we plan to do in the coming months. When we discuss about what has been done in Germany, so first of all, it's a very fast-growing industry. I remember when I started to look at fintech beginning of 2014, which is a little bit more than 2 years ago. I think there were maybe in Frankfurt something like 20 companies you would call fintech right now. A little bit of investment. This has grown in Germany as a whole to something like 300 to 500 fintech companies. It's always a little bit difficult how you count fintech companies. So in that range. And last year we have seen 1.2 billion euro investments, so something like 1.4 billion US dollar in those fintech companies. And you see here the landscape of fintech companies for different topics like donations, banking, e-commerce, factoring, credit, and so on. And you see it's a changing landscape. You see some are already crossed out. You know, it's not only giving birth for the fintech companies, but also some are dying, which is a normal process. It's an ecosystem. Some new are coming in, many new are coming in, but also some are leaving because it has become a highly competitive space. So in Germany, we have the typical topics of fintech companies we are all aware of, like payments, banking and lending. Big data is a big topic. Investech, these are all the fintechs which allow you to do, hopefully, smarter investment, let's say by building up dedicated portfolios of ETFs, exchange-traded funds, which is a very typical application of fintech companies you see all over the world, not only in Germany. But also enabling processes of banks, technology solution, e-marketplaces are, of course, important pillars of the German fintech landscape. But I would like to draw your attention on the last two categories, which are RegTech and InsurTech. RegTech stands for regulatory fintech companies. These are fintech companies who take some of the burden from the banks and other financial institutions in regulatory requirements. We have seen a lot of regulatory requirements coming up after the financial crisis. Means a lot of red tape for the banks. And this is something which is not really appreciated by the end clients, right? I think if you want to open up a bank account, you need to fill up a lot of paperwork at the bank, which takes half an hour to an hour. And so the banks are not winning from this. It's just a cost factor for them. So why don't they give it up to a specialized fintech company who is serving many banks, white label? So this is what's currently happening. The fintech companies are taking over some of these topics from the banks and making good revenues out of this. Last but not least, InsurTech. You know, Germany is a country where taking insurance for the retail investors, it's a very big business. Germans are, from their cultural nature, a little bit risk averse, so they go to the insurance companies, they buy insurance for many things. And fintech companies have started to do this via mobile applications, via the internet in a much smarter way, and also in a much more flexible way. So the typical example they're using is, I think your app finds out by your position data, you're in a ski resort, in a ski area. Probably you will do skiing if it's winter time, if there's snow outside. And then why don't the app offers you a dedicated insurance policy just for a week of skiing in case of an accident is happening? So they have the data, they have the location, and they can do it in a much smarter way than the traditional insurance companies. And they're making use of it. So these two areas, I think they're currently developing very fastly, and I think more to hear from them. A little bit about Frankfurt. This is how we started. The young fintech developers and founders meeting for beer and pizza. This photo was taken in July last year, so less than a year ago. This was one of the first gathering organized by a meetup group, meetup.com, if some of you are familiar with this. And I think I took part in that event with something like 45, 50 people attending. It was rather unstructured. From time to time, someone made it to the front, gave a 5-minute pitch, and someone followed, and so on. So not like a typical traditional conference, but it was very lively. This was, I think, the second event. You see, already a little bit more people, was rather crowded at that event. And then we had to move to a bigger venue because the co-working space we used at the beginning was quickly too small. Nowadays, we have something like 400 people attending those conferences. On the distribution list of these meetups are something like 1,100, 1,200 people from the fintech space in Frankfurt, and many of them are regularly attending these conferences, these events. And usually I take some representative of banks or from some political leader or other people which are not familiar yet with the fintech environment to those events, and they are always very impressed. I tell them, look, I take you there, but you will experience something different. It's not that typical event, right? And then they see the spirit, they see the energy. They eat pizza and drink the beer with the fintech founders and the developers, and then they leave and saying, wow, this was exciting. Huh? When can I come back? When is the next event? So this shows the energy which is in that community. Then this was something like October, November last year. Of course, I think the developing fintech community in Frankfurt also has drawn the attention of the political leaders. So we were invited to the mayor's office, and the mayor promised us all the support we need to get the fintech companies starting. This is the mayor of Frankfurt with his deputies. These are representatives of fintech community. We had an open discussion. We made it to the government as well. On the next slide, you see the Minister of Economy opening up a new fintech center in Frankfurt. I think this is very important. And I'm always very clear that you have so strong support from Chairman Kim, Congressman Kim, which is really important that you are heard from on the political level and you get all the support you need. So I think we have this in common, and I think this is good for both of our communities here in South Korea, but also in Germany. This is what we have done after getting started. So we thought it's really necessary to set up an initiative, set up a project, to really help the community to build. So we set up a large-scale fintech initiative. It started October last year, and it will end, or just ending right now, end of June. So, we have something like 60 institutions from the public side, like the government, the city of Frankfurt, 5 universities, but also the private side, the banks, associations, and the fintech companies themselves taking part of it. We created a steering committee with board members of leading institutions, and we have set up in total 11 working groups working on topics like science, discussing how the universities can work closer together to support the fintechs, making the fintechs more known in the universities, giving room for them to present themselves. We help the accelerators and incubators to come to Frankfurt. We talk a lot about regulation with our regulator. Usually I sit together with something like 15 lawyers and the regulator to discuss how we can improve regulation and to also to help the regulator to learn what the fintech companies need. We discuss about government support, and of course we also discuss about international partnerships like we're doing with South Korea. We're very happy about this. I'll come to this in a minute. This was very helpful for us to have a place where we can discuss all these topics. This is coming soon. This building here will become our new fintech center. We have rented not the whole building yet, but some part of the building. In total, something like 5,000 square meters. It's an initiative by the government, the city of Hessen, the state government, the universities, and the private sector. Many banks are sponsors of this. It will open end of September, and all of you are heartily invited in October or later. Come to us, come to our place. We wanted to create one place where all the fintech companies can meet. They can rent their space there. They can sit there with their people. We have even some larger fintech companies who wants to move there with 60 staff, with 100 staff. The banks will move there with their innovation teams. We'll have lawyers there. We will have a representative of the regulators there. We have web designers and IT specialists there, so that on one space you have all the people which are needed for the fintech companies, and we also will host all the major events, all the major fintech events in that space. So this space will become the landmark and also the place for international fintechs and international players to go and meet the Frankfurt fintech environment. Of course, we have also done, as an association, Frankfurt Main Finance, as the association of the fintechs, of the Frankfurt Financial Center, a lot for fintech. You can have a look on our website, get informed what's going on, all the events which are in Frankfurt. Also, you're invited to have a look and learn more what's going on in Frankfurt. So I've mentioned already, we are working with international fintech hubs. For instance, with Israel, we have done several workshops in Frankfurt, in Tel Aviv. So because we have seen a lot of interesting developments in cybersecurity is coming from Tel Aviv. So we want to make our Frankfurt fintech solution more safe. So we are discussing this very intensively with Israel, with Tel Aviv. And as I've mentioned already, we are very happy that we have also a very close partnership here with South Korea. It started in autumn last year. You might remember some of the faces here. Chairman Kim is around. And this was the first gathering we had in Frankfurt, where the fintech companies here from Seoul, but also from Busan, could meet Frankfurt fintech companies. And we didn't stop there. We visited one of the leading fintech company, which is 360T. 360T, they're doing an FX trading platform. They were sold to the German stock exchange last year for 725 million euro, something like 800 million US dollar. And I think for the visiting fintechs from Seoul and Busan was very interesting to talk to the founders. This is one of the founder of 360T, who has become very prominent not only in Frankfurt but overall in Germany. You see the team visiting 360T. And then we met again in January this year here in Seoul, in the National Assembly, and also in Busan. We signed an MOU that we want to work closely together on the topic of fintech, which is a very important sign because we wanted to underscore, I think, the importance of this close cooperation where, from our point of view, but I think it's also the understanding of our Korean partners, will gain a lot, giving the other side, giving a platform for the fintech companies to go abroad, for Korean fintech companies to come to Frankfurt to explore their business in the European Union, and also for Frankfurt fintech companies to come to Korea and use Korea, be it Seoul, be it Busan, as their hub for operating in Asia. You see here, this is my chairman, Dr. Rettich, who is a strong supporter. In Frankfurt, he's called Mr. Financial Center. He's a very prominent leader of the financial center, and he's very supportive of everything we are doing. This is one of the conferences we did in Busan with the fintech companies, with many professors, and also the first memorandum of understandings were signed. So I think a lot of very healthy developments, and we definitely want to continue with this. Also, we had again then visitors coming to us. Peter Kim is some sort of a frequent traveler to Frankfurt, attending several events. We are always very proud to have him here, having in Frankfurt, and to work with him and work with Finotech, which is some sort of the role model of the dialogue between South Korea and Germany and Frankfurt in that sense. Let me, in my final 1 or 2 minutes, give you a little bit of an outlook what we want to do between Korea and Germany, between Seoul, Busan, and Frankfurt. Of course, we plan next workshops, so all of you feel invited to participate, be it here locally or be it in Frankfurt. We want to, even beyond the workshops, we want to encourage matchmaking. We want to exchange profiles. I'm doing on a regular basis, I'm giving Frankfurt fintech companies, German fintech companies information about you, about what you are doing here in Korea. And I encourage you to let us know what are you working on, what is your field of expertise, so that we can help bringing the right partners together and maybe finding good partners for you in Frankfurt and in Germany. Also, we want, of course, to exchange experience on community building. Building up a fintech community sounds easy, but in fact it's hard. You need to organize the dialogue between the banks, other financial institutions, and the fintech companies in a very smart way, so that both sides will profit. This is very important. We want to work on a joint education program. We are very glad that the Global Fintech Research Institute will work with us, with some of the universities in Frankfurt on this, because we believe education is very important in that sense. And also, we have a special interest in blockchain, where we all think this might change the way we are doing financial services. It will bring peer-to-peer financing services to all of us in the coming decade. And what we want to do is we want to jointly set standards, because blockchain requires a network of participants and all need to agree on the same standard. And I think we have in common that we want to be a standard setter, not just a standard taker from the US and other players, but we want to work and we want to help setting the standards, and we want to make sure that the standards will fit our need. So this is something we have on our agenda and we closely want to work on. So much to my speak. If you have a special interest in blockchain, make sure maybe to visit blockchain-asia.com, where you find the latest news on blockchain. This will give you also a little bit of insight if you're new to the topic of blockchain, what is happening in other Asian countries about blockchain. And also, if you ever have the opportunities to come through Frankfurt, feel cordially invited to visit the new FinTech Center, visit us, and learning more what's happening in Frankfurt. Thank you very much.